You're in the Business Insurance Zone with me, Steve Savant, national insurance columnist and financial color commentator. And today and all this week on The Biz, it's September, Life Insurance Awareness Month. And today, the biggest estate failures of all time, with #1 author and industry speaker, Tom Hegna.
When it comes to life insurance, annuities, long-term care, disability, or group pension plans, we're the news you can use.
Well, welcome everyone to the Business Insurance Zone. I'm your host, Steve Savant, and we're broadcasting live to a nationwide audience of financial advisors right here in Fountain Hills, Arizona, home of America's largest fountain. And today, day 4 with me, Paychecks and Play Checks author, #1 on Amazon.com on retirement, Tom Hegna. Hey, welcome to our show again, Tom.
Thanks, Steve. This is going to be a fun one.
Oh, I'm telling you, I am so up for this. We're talking, I can't believe it, some of the biggest estate failures of all time. And honestly, I always thought that people with wealth had all these attorneys and this entourage and all these guys, their fiduciaries, all lined up doing all these great things for their estate and transferring it to whomever they want. And then I look at the list you have here, Tom. Well, let's get into it. I mean, I'm in Stunsville on Marilyn Monroe.
Yeah. Well, first, let me set this up. I would go to the website, estatefailures.com. I just happened upon this website. It's an Insurance Newsnet website, and they've got this wall art and brochures. And so I just thought maybe we should do a show on it because I found it fascinating. I mean, I'm not even a total estate planner, but it was fascinating. And Marilyn Monroe, let's start with her.
All right.
A lot of people, know her. She was a major sex symbol. She starred in numerous successful movies in the 50s and 60s, but a lot of people don't know she spent her childhood in foster homes. She worked in a munitions factory spray painting airplane parts with fire retardant in World War II. She was discovered when she's spraying these parts by the first motion picture unit of the U.S. Army Air Force, commanded by Captain Ronald Reagan.
No way.
Yes, and so then she became a model. She went into acting. She did get married while she was in that munitions factory, and then she got divorced. She got married and divorced from Joe DiMaggio and Arthur Miller. She was married to. Wow. She reportedly had affairs with President Kennedy, Robert Kennedy, Marlon Brando, and all of that. But here's what people don't know. You know who her estate went to?
No.
It didn't go to any of her husbands, ex-husbands, and she had no children. It went to her acting coach, Lee Strasberg, but he died, and so her estate wound up with his third wife. Now, do you honestly believe that Marilyn Monroe, while she was alive, wanted her estate to go to the third wife of her acting coach?
I don't think so. Oh my goodness. Well, when you think about that, I can't hardly imagine a person of that wealth and fame. How could they not have this all tied down?
Yeah, can you even make this stuff up?
No.
But that tells you how important it is as advisors. We got to sit down with people and we got to make sure that they've got adequate trust and life insurance, and all this could have been avoided. If she would have had a life insurance policy with named beneficiaries that were updated, all that could have been avoided.
Well, what about, so we're staying on the Marilyn motif. How about Anna Nicole Smith? I mean, she's kind of a contemporary. I mean, that hasn't been too long ago since she died, somewhere around 2007, 5 years back. Talk a little bit about her, because I thought she came into major money on the inheritance issue.
Well, this is a complicated one because there's actually 2 estate planning failures in this one, okay? So everybody knows Anna Nicole Smith. She was an actress, a television personality. She was a 1983 Playmate of the Year, which, by the way, Marilyn Monroe was on the first cover ever of Playboy magazine. But where Anna Nicole Smith came to fame was when she got married. It was her second marriage, actually, to business mogul J. Howard Marshall, who met her while she was performing at a Houston strip club. Now, this guy was in his 80s. She was in her 20s. They get married. Now, some people claim that she married for the money. No. Well, that's what some people claim. But what he did was he promised her, orally promised her that if she married him, that she would get half of his estate. Well, her son didn't like that. And his son didn't like that. And his son, he'd basically disowned his son. So this was the first estate planning thing. It went to the U.S. Supreme Court. And then she did get some amount of money, and the son got some amount of money. But then the plot thickens. She, was dating this Howard Stern, and you saw but then she had a son. But then she had a second child, Dana Lynn, but nobody knew who was the father of that. And if you remember, they were in the Bahamas because they didn't want to get paternity tested. Zsa Zsa Gabor's husband claimed that it was his child. I mean, again, can we make this stuff up?
No.
We can't make this stuff up. All right? Well, when she died, then they did do the paternity test, and they found out that it wasn't this Howard K. Stern. It was Larry Burkhead that was the actual father. So there was all this paternity, but her estate still hasn't all been settled. All right, and because you've got another son, one of her other sons, Daniel, died, if you remember, right before her, and so there was controversy surrounding all of that. And so again, whenever you've got multiple husbands and wives involved and multiple kids from different people, that's an indicator. And so I would say, when I've been looking at all these estate planning things, multiple relationships, multiple children from other relationships, that is what an advisor, when you see that, you've got to stress how important estate planning is, because that's where it kind of all gets mixed up, because you got multiple kids from multiple different husbands or wives.
Well, our society has changed. We have blended families, sometimes multiple marriages. I mean, these are the things that need to be sorted out. And I know that there are legal documents that you can do beyond just your prenup, just to have these things covered off. And when we talk about regular estate planning, it's what do you want to happen? What's the disposition of your estate? And by the way, before we cut to the break, I wish we could have talked about Jimi Hendrix, but I'm not really sure, because he died, again, without any kind of estate planning or anything, and he was an icon of my youth and still is an icon in America from a guitar point of view and rock and roll. I don't know if he could have passed the urine analysis. I'm not really sure he could have gotten coverage anyways. But again, there was no plan for Jimmy. I'm thinking about his guitar that just sold for, I think it was like $157,000 for one guitar. These are the things we're talking about. We come back, we're going to talk about the Candy Man. I mean, think about that. Howard Hughes. I mean, we're talking about people that really should have had this all together. It's all about what we're learning on the Business Insurance Zone. When we come back, we'll be more with Tommy on some of the infamous estate failures.
You're listening to the insurance industry's #1 resource for products, planning ideas, carrier information, and interviews you can use. When it comes to life insurance, annuities, long-term care, disability, or group pension plans, we're the news you can use.
Companies in our business are always touting service, products, and underwriting. And we do that too. But here's the difference. Now enter the world of the elite producer with a value package that cuts us out of the pack. A BD that approves social media marketing of non-FINRA products and doesn't take an override. With the best competition desk in the industry, and for our loyal producers, a true group health plan. No one offers that. Brokers Alliance does. Well, welcome back to the Business Insurance Zone. I'm your host, Steve Savant. We're with MDRT, platform speaker, and #1 author on retirement, Tom Hegna. We're talking about some of the most infamous estate failures of all time. These are all name droppers. I mean, we spent so much time. I think Tommy's a little partial to the ladies. That's why we blew a whole couple segments on that. And we can't do anything about that. But Sammy Davis Jr., the Candy Man.
The Candy Man. We all grew up with Sammy Davis Jr. Well, a lot of people know, that he was part of the Rat Pack with Dean Martin and Frank Sinatra, and he's a great entertainer. A lot of people don't know he lost his left eye in an automobile accident in 1954. He became an overnight sensation following a nightclub performance after the 1951 Academy Awards. But his film career started when he was a child back in 1933. A lot of people don't know that.
I didn't know that.
He was friends with Elvis Presley. He was a fan of daytime soap operas and was an avid photographer, an enthusiastic gun owner and shooter. And some people don't know this. He was involved with actress Kim Novak in the mid-1950s. This caused such an uproar that they had the mob kidnap him and to scare him into abandoning the relationship, which he did. And then he was married and divorced, and he died from throat cancer. And listen to what he said. He said he would rather keep his voice than have part of his throat removed. So anyway, what was his estate planning failure? He made $50 million over his career. He left $5 million. Now you say, what? That isn't bad. I mean, that was back in the 60s and 70s or whatever. He had estate taxes of over $7 million. So that's a problem.
Wow. I'm short on the IRS. I owe him $7 million. I only have $5 million to my name.
Yeah. So and that was income tax and estate tax. So he had a tax bill of $7 million and only had $5 million. And so again, Could life insurance have solved that problem? Absolutely. Could trusts and
Sure.
and all of that helped him? Absolutely.
Well, what about Howard Hughes? Because this is the one that always kind of, kind of surprises me because, this guy was a businessman. He was an inventor.
Yep.
He had idiosyncratic issues. He had kind of little personality quirks. But I thought this guy really kind of knew what was going on. What happened here?
Rich, powerful guy.
Exactly.
One of the wealthiest people in the world at the time. He was an investor, aviator, entrepreneur. He set world speed records. He had the Spruce Goose built, that Hercules H-4 aircraft, but he was a recluse and he had eccentric behavior. But he built Houston's first radio transmitter when he was 11 years old. When he was 12 years old, he built the first motorized bicycle in Houston, Texas. Now, his parents were kind of wealthy, and they died when he was young, so by the time he was 19, he inherited quite a fortune. Okay, and then he took that and he did his whole career with that money, and he became the owner of Trans World Airlines, TWA, and did a whole lot of things. He was married to Ella Botts Rice, divorced 4 years later. He married actress Jean Peters. He had several near fatal plane crashes. He was rumored to have dated Eva Gardner. He was 6'4", but only weighed 90 pounds when he died. Think about that.
Wow.
The FBI had to fingerprint him just to confirm his identity. These are just little. I
Wow.
do this for you for no extra charge here, Steve.
I had to say, this is I'm learning things I never knew.
So now you're saying, well, what's his estate planning failure? He died. There was apparently no will until 3 weeks after his death. A handwritten will was found on the desk of an executive of the Church of Latter-day Saints in Salt Lake City. It was called the Mormon Will. And the Mormon Will left $1.56 billion to charities, $470 million to officers of Howard's companies, $156 million to first cousin William, $156 million to be split by his two ex-wives, and a further $156 million to a gas station owner near Las Vegas who found Howard Hughes one day on the side of the road and gave him a lift to his hotel in Las Vegas.
Wow.
Well, problem. This Mormon will was rejected by a Nevada court as forgery, and Hughes was ruled to have died intestate. Hughes' $2.5 billion estate was eventually split among 22 cousins. And an undisclosed amount was also paid to Terry Moore, who secretly claimed to have been married to him on a yacht off the coast of Mexico in 1949 and never divorced. Her book, The Beauty and the Billionaire, became a bestseller. I cannot make this stuff up.
Unbelievable. Well, listen, I wish we had time, but we have a pile here. Let's just go to Heath Ledger. I mean, Batman's nemesis, right?
Yeah, so Heath Ledger is known as the Dark Knight, but he also starred in 19 other movies. He was originally from Australia. He's a big Australian actor. His first real hit was Brokeback Mountain. He was an avid chess player. He dated Heather Graham, Naomi Watts, Michelle Williams, who had a daughter, Matilda Rose, with that relationship. After that breakup, he was dating supermodels, Helena Christensen and Gemma Ward, and actress Mary-Kate Olsen and Lindsay Lohan. The cause of his death, when you read the cause of his death, it was like a cocktail of prescription drugs that was in his blood. And there were rumors of a secret love child that swirled after his death. But, he... $20 million went to, parents, siblings, and they gave the entire estate to his girlfriend, to a former girlfriend and daughter. But again, did he have a plan? He really didn't have a plan, and that's what happens when you don't have a plan. The plan that happens might not be the plan that you want.
Those may not have been his targeted beneficiaries.
No.
I mean, think about that. I mean, we're doing planning so that you from the grave can dictate where your assets go and how your family lives when you're gone. It's all about lifestyle commitment, all about stewardship, and these are the stories from the infamous estate failures. Unbelievable. Well, you can watch all these, and we'll send these to you. You can just write me thebiz at brokersalliance.com. That's been the Buzz on the Biz for today. Get in the zone, the business insurance zone.
The Biz is brought to you by Brokers Alliance, a national leader in insurance products, support services, and educational workshops. When it comes to life insurance, annuities, long-term care, disability, or group pension plans, We're the news you can use.